I want to put two quotes up on the screen from President Barack Obama. The first is from his 2009 inaugural address. And I quote, "As for our common defense, we reject as false the choice between our safety and our ideals. Those ideas still light the world, and we will not give them up for expediency's sake." Now I want to fast forward to June 2013 in the wake of the NSA leak scandal, and I quote, "I think it's important to recognize that you can't have 100% security and then also have 100% privacy and zero inconvenience. We're going to have to make some choices as a society," end quote. Best of the Web Today columnist James Taranto joins me now. James, why the flip-flop?
Well, I think the question answers itself.
Humor me, James.
Well, Obama, before he became president, he had no responsibility for anything, so it was easy for him to sit as an outsider and criticize the administration. Now that he has actual responsibility, he's gone at least some way to recognizing, to facing the reality that faces anyone in that position.
But James, does it go far enough? Because if the president on the one hand is saying, we have to close Gitmo, the war on terror has to end, and then on the other he says, but we need these surveillance techniques. I mean, the national security bureaucracy is taking messaging from this guy from the top. Doesn't this have an impact on how we prosecute the war on terror?
Well, this is the contradiction that still exists in the Obama approach to terror. He gave this speech last month at the National Defense University, and it was basically, almost a pacifistic speech. Yeah, we still have this terror problem, but this war has to come to an end. He actually called on Congress to repeal the authorization for the use of military force that had passed after 9/11, and he said this war has to come to an end, and he's still determined to close Guantanamo Bay, even though he hasn't quite figured out what to do with the dangerous detainees who are there. And my question is, if the war on terror is over to the point where we have to stop being so beastly to actual enemy combatants, why do we still have the government collecting our phone records, and why do we still have to go through these enhanced security procedures at airports? And I think the answer is that the war isn't really over, but it's really unreasonable to expect the American people to make sacrifices of privacy and convenience while also saying we need to curtail our efforts against the actual enemy. That, I think, is a contradiction that's very problematic for the president.
Well, James, also, when I heard that very pacifist speech in these recent weeks, I thought of our troops and their families. If you have a son or a daughter or a husband or a wife that's abroad risking their life, how do you react to a speech like that? What message does it send to you?
Well, it sends the message, I suppose, that if you're stationed in Afghanistan, you may be going home soon. So, I mean, I think the troops may take some heart in that in terms of their personal safety, but it's not necessarily a good message in terms of the war-fighting morale.
James, we've got about 30 seconds left. I just want to point to a quote by Dick Cheney that was referenced in a New Yorker blog. This is our former vice president, and he said, when Barack Obama was taking office, he said, and I quote, "My guess is that once they get here and they're faced with the same problems we deal with every day, they'll appreciate some of the things we put in place." So was Dick Cheney right?
Well, Dick Cheney guessed right, didn't he? It would be nice. You remember there was a time in 2009 where Obama was giving some sort of pacifistic speech. Dick Cheney was giving a speech on terror at the same time. They showed up split screen on cable TV. It'd be nice if Obama actually said, yeah, you know what, sorry about that, guys. Cheney was right.
Okay, thanks, James.